Professor Seyed Marandi, Chair of American Studies at the University of Tehran, joins us now. Professor, I don't know whether it's yet necessary to offer condolences unless you can tell us what the latest is, and is the bad news that many of us are fearing. Please bring us up to date.
At the moment, the rescue teams have reached, they're close to the helicopter. There's a 1 kilometer distance left. Unfortunately, when the president left the border with the Republic of Azerbaijan to inaugurate a dam, the weather was good, but then it quickly changed. And we had heavy rain and very heavy fog, as you've seen in the footage. The rescue teams are having a very difficult time. The helicopter had what we've been told is a hard landing. There have been reports that 2 people from the helicopter did contact people, meaning that they were alive, but I'm not sure about those reports yet. They may be true, but I'm not sure. So we'll have to wait and see. I just would like to point out that I was on the BBC about a half an hour ago, maybe a bit more, and it was very disappointing to see them at this time bring in these opponents of Iran, saying how everyone hates President Raisi and using really ridiculous language and caricaturing the reality in Iran. People in Iran are very concerned. Many people have gone to public places to pray, and people from different political persuasions and different political parties have expressed deep concern for the safety of the president. Hopefully he will be alive. Hopefully he'll be found alive. But if he has passed away, if he does pass away, then I think the BBC should have thought about what happens when millions of people come to the streets of Tehran for his funeral. When the Western media says that how the regime, as they like to call it, is so despised, and how President Raisi is so despised, after a couple of days of propaganda, what are they going to do when we see those masses of people on the streets? But hopefully he will be found alive. But regardless, the Islamic Republic of Iran is a very powerful country. Our constitution has the capability to pull the country through any crisis. I'm sure you recall, in the 1980s, our president was murdered. Back then, we also had a prime minister. He was murdered as well. They were murdered together by the MEK terror group, which is based in the West. The head of the judiciary was murdered, but the Islamic Republic of Iran continued to grow more powerful and remain stable. And when Imam Khomeini, or Ayatollah Khomeini as he's called in the West, passed away, he was the founder of the revolution, a towering figure. But when he passed away, the Constitution has a body as envisaged in the Constitution, and that body chose the new leader. So stability, we've always had stability. We'll continue to have stability despite our antagonists. And one final point is that the BBC, when I was on the BBC waiting for my turn, they were speaking at length with 2 women who were obviously very hostile, and they were speaking about human rights and human rights violations. And I pointed out on the BBC that at a time when a genocide is being carried out, a Holocaust is being carried out in Gaza, it seems that the people who the BBC invite to speak about Iran have been asleep during these last 7-8 months. Western governments, Western regimes, and those terror groups and others who they fund, they've lost their credibility, and no one takes them seriously. They can no longer speak about human rights or human values when we're seeing people being slaughtered every day. But in any case, we hope that the president is alive. But if, God forbid, something has happened to him or does happen to him, we have a constitution, we have strong institutions, and things will continue to move forward as they have in the past.
It's only someone as polite as you could accuse these women on the BBC of having been asleep for the last 7 months. I should more accurately have described them as complicit in the slaughter of the innocents, along with the BBC on which you were appearing. Now, let me take you back. Appreciate these are all hypotheticals. Why has it taken so long to find this helicopter? It is at least 8 hours, maybe 10, since the first reports of a hard landing came in. Is the weather so bad? Is the terrain so difficult? In which case, the helicopter really shouldn't have been flying there. What is the reason for the delay?
It is a combination of all of these things. I know there's a lot of speculation, and I have no response to any of the things that are being said. But what I can say is that that area is very mountainous. The north of Iran, the north and the northwest of Iran is in general very mountainous. That part of Iran is very lush and green, and there are forests. So it's both mountainous and full of forests. There has been heavy rain during the past few hours, and during the president's flight on his helicopter, and heavy fog. The pictures that I've seen when he left, when he first got on the helicopter to move on, because he, as I said, he was on the border with the Republic of Azerbaijan inaugurating a dam, and then he was going to go to the city of Tabriz to inaugurate other projects. And the city of Tabriz is in the northwest. That area is mountainous, but as I was about to say, the images that I saw showed that there were no clouds when the helicopters took off, or his helicopter took off. And during the trip, apparently the weather changed very rapidly, and the scenes people can see online, it is very difficult for them. They know where the helicopter is, and they are moving towards the helicopter from different directions, but the terrain is difficult, and everything, I think, will depend on how hard was the landing. Again, there is a report that 2 people did make communication. An Iranian official said that on television, but until I see the helicopter and the president, I really would rather refrain from speculating.
I appreciate that, but are you able to tell us if it is true that 2 of the helicopters in the 3 helicopter convoy, that 2 of them appear not to have crashed, not to have had that kind of a hard landing, in which case, do you know where they are?
They apparently did make it to their destination, and the officials on those 2 helicopters are fine. This helicopter, whether it had some sort of problem, or whether it was the weather, or whether the president being on board made the pilot more cautious, that he felt that he had to land, I don't know. We'll have to see. But again, I would like to stress that President Raisi is a popular figure in Iran, and he has his policies have been to build upon social justice in the country. Of course, he has many critics. We have many different political parties and factions in Iran. Many of them are very hostile towards him, Some of the media is extremely hostile towards him in Iran. But at this moment, everyone, all of them, have been praying for his safety. And I think it was very ugly of the BBC and any other Western media outlet to behave in this manner during these circumstances. It reminds me sort of the prime ministers of Slovakia, when some of the Western media was effectively saying he deserved it. But I hope that in future they at least they're supporting genocide. At least they could be a bit more subtle in their language and behavior.
Well, they failed to murder the Prime Minister of Slovakia. Obviously, let's hope the accident, if it were that, has failed to kill the President of Iran. But again, a hypothetical I can't refrain from asking.
Sure.
There will have to be new elections within 50 days, should it be the case that the President has died. What kind of shape are you in for that? You've just had parliamentary elections. As you say, they're contrary to Western beliefs. There's a very vibrant and quite divided political spectrum in Iran. It will be a hard-fought election campaign. Are you confident that the presidency can peacefully and successfully be renewed in 50 days? Or is there a possibility of some kind of emergency rule?
No, there won't be emergency rule. The Constitution will be enforced. If, God forbid, we lose President Raisi, and we have no information in that regard at the moment. But if, God forbid, we lose him, the Constitution will be very effective. We have to, again, I have to go back to the 1980s. In the 1980s, we were at war with Saddam Hussein. He had invaded the country. The country was effectively surrounded. The West and even the Soviet Union, they were all supporting Saddam. Iran was very isolated. The West was supporting the MEK terror groups. They were carrying out bomb attacks on a daily basis in Tehran and in other cities. In one single attack, they took out the president and the prime minister. And they also they martyred the head of the judiciary. They murdered many parliamentarians, and all of this, and many government ministers. And all of this happened within a couple of months. It was very devastating. But the Islamic Republic moved forward. The Constitution was implemented. A new president came in, a new prime minister came in, a new head of judiciary came in. The cabinet was reassembled. Parliamentary elections took place, and the war continued to be waged to defend Iran from Saddam's Western and Saudi and Emirati and Kuwaiti and Soviet-backed aggression. So today, Iran is a much stronger country. Iran has gone through sanctions. Its economy has been growing for the last 2 years. Last year, I think it was over 4%, and this year over 6%. It's still difficult for Iranians, but the country is moving forward. Iran's relations with countries across the global south are growing. The United States and its allies are growing weaker. Iran's antagonists are weaker today. Iran is stronger today. So regardless of what news comes out of Iran within the next few hours, I am absolutely confident that Iran will remain strong and stable, and it will continue to fully support the axis of resistance until the full liberation of the Palestinian people and the end of apartheid, genocide, ethno-supremacism, and ethnic cleansing.
Professor Marandi, let's hope for better news in the next hours. Thanks for joining us on the Mother of All Joke Shows.